Excuse me. Shalom. I want to give all the praise, all the glory, all the honor unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rakah Kudash. Double honors goes out to the elder apostles of Great Millstone for teaching me the truth. Also want to acknowledge all the Akyam who are pushing the truth with sincerity throughout the four corners of the earth. And shalom to the elect of the nation of Israel. And this is Shabai from the GMS Denver camp. And I'm going to go in on Revelation 18 through the Spirit. It says, "And after these things, I saw another angel come down from heaven having great power, and the earth was lightened with his glory. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the Great is fallen, and become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and a cage of every unclean and hateful bird." All right, talking about Babylon, America. We know through the Spirit that this place is Babylon the Great, all right? And it's falling. You know, you see a trade war right now, but eventually you're gonna have a full-fledged nuclear war with nuclear missiles. You know, America's going to be burned with fire, okay? It says in verse 2, "And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the Great is fallen, is fallen." Oh shit, I read that, but that's okay. "And has become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and a cage of every unclean and hateful bird." And that's what you have here is a bunch of foul spirits. Even the 2/3 are in a foul spirit, right? 2/3 of our own people, the Israelites, you're in a wicked mindset of the heathen. And verse 3, actually, you know what? Let me grab this precept. In verse 3. It says, "For all nations," or I'm sorry. Let me see. What was I going to grab? Actually, verse 2 is what I meant. But let me go to Jeremiah real quick. Jeremiah 51 and 9. It's a precept here. Let's see what it says. "We would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her, and let us go everyone into his own country. For her judgment reacheth unto heaven, and is lifted up even unto the sky, even to the skies." Right, her judgment is about to come, and really her judgment's coming already, you know. When the Lord puts his prophets on the scene, that's pretty much the beginning of the end. He did that with ancient Egypt. Yahweh sent Moses, the prophet, you know, right before he was going to do what he did, right before he delivered the Israelites from ancient Egypt. And so now he's doing the same thing here in spiritual Egypt. All right, you got the prophets on the scene, just like Moses was on the scene, and the ancient Egyptians they didn't believe that Yahweh Bashem Yahushai was going to deliver our people from ancient Egypt, but it happened. The same thing now. You got the 2/3, the heathen. They don't believe that Yahweh Bashem Yahushai is going to deliver us from spiritual Egypt, but that's about to happen. You know, when they least expect it, like a thief in the night. All right. So let's go back to Revelation 18 and 3. It says, "For all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies." And this is, this is why Trump is putting all those tariffs on all these countries. Because it hurts these countries, right? It hurts their economies. It even hurts Babylon's economy. But, you know, Esau Edom, he's the devil. He's trying to crash the system because he wants to usher in his new world order, which has to do with digital currency. Okay? So he's using he's using these tariffs and all this stuff you see happening in the world. It's gonna weaken the economies. A lot of these nations, their economies can't keep up with these tariffs including Babylon, and eventually this thing's going to crash. And that's why it says the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through her abundance, because they say, they have a saying, I think it's if America gets a cough, the whole world will catch a cold. See, because it's a domino effect, you know. Yeah, if America catches a cough, gets a cough, the whole world has a cold, you know. Verse 4, and I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plagues. All right, and this is dealing with the Israelites. Who's Yahweh's people? The Israelites. Okay, but the only thing is 1/3 of the people are the only ones who are going to come out of Babylon, and then we're talking about right now spiritual. You know, it's your mindset. It's the way you move in this wicked society. And, you know, you acknowledge Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, you repent. That's how we spiritually, we've left Babylon, you know, our mindset. We're not hanging on to this place, you know. We're not, we're not putting our hope and our trust and our faith into Babylon. We're letting it go spiritually and mentally. We're pretty much already out of this place, you know. And Lord's will, because of that, and we know that the elect, which is the 1/3, it starts out with the prophets. We know that they're not going to receive the plagues. And what are her plagues going to be? Famine, sedition among men. You're going to have all kind of crazy shit, chaos here in Babylon, America during Jacob's trouble. And those are all plagues. To eventually, it's going to get to the plague of the missiles. All right, and then the plagues of the chariots, the plague of Yahweh Shai and the chariots, you know, getting in on the destruction. So you can see that this is why we have to leave this place spiritually, mentally, you know. You don't want to sit here and pray for Babylon to be healed like we read in Jeremiah. You want to pray for this place to get it over with so we can enter our kingdom. That's the right mindset. But how many people are in that mindset? It's a small number, okay? Verse 5, it says, for her sins have reached unto heaven, and the Most High hath remembered her iniquities, right? And they're literally reached unto the heavens. You just had that, whether it was staged or real, whatever, you just had that event, I think it was yesterday or day before, you had Blue Origin, where they so-called sent some women, these women up to space for like 3 minutes, which that's stupid as hell. What's the point of that? Bitches were taking selfies of themselves in space, which it looked like it was all set up, you know. So anyway, reward her even as she has rewarded you, and double unto her, double according to her works, in the cup which she hath filled, fill her to her double. Right. So we've drinking from the cup. I'm talking about the Israelites, which the cup is the wrath of Yahweh. We've been drinking from that wrath, right? We're under the curses. We're in punishment because we left we left our customs, we left our ways, we left our power, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. So we've been drinking from this cup through all these different captivities. Now it's time for the heathen to drink the cup. It's going to start out with Esau, Edom, okay? Let me get this real quick. Jeremiah, 49:12, maybe? I think so. Yep. Jeremiah 49:12, it says, for thus saith Yahweh, behold, they whose judgment was not to drink of the cup have assuredly drunken. Talking about the Israelites. You know, we drank of this cup even though we weren't supposed to. We were supposed to get all the blessings from Deuteronomy, I believe it's 1 through 14. And then the rest is 15 through 68. We fall under those curses because we're drinking from that cup, which is again the wrath of Yahweh. All right, it says, and art thou he that shall altogether go unpunished? Thou shalt not go unpunished, but thou shalt surely drink of it. So he's saying, okay, because if you look at the context and see who this is talking about, he's talking about Esau, Edom, right? And Basra, right? That's Esau's chief place in Edom, one of his chief cities. So we know this verse 12 is talking about Basra and Edom, the so-called white man, the Edomites, okay? But you're going to surely drink of this cup, according to the scriptures, meaning you're going to have to feel the pain. And, you know, Trump, he thinks he's going to make America great again. But remember, there's that verse, because he's calling this, the golden age of America. And there's a verse that says, how has the golden city ceased? And this is talking about Babylon, America. Let me see if I can grab that real quick. I think it might be in Isaiah 14, maybe not though. How has the golden city ceased? KJV. Oh yeah, Isaiah, I was right. Isaiah 14 and 4, it tells you, wait, let's see, 14, oh. Oh, here we go. Isaiah 14 and 4, it says, Thou shalt take up this proverb against the king of Babylon and say, how hath the oppressor ceased, the golden city ceased? Remember, Trump is the modern king of Babylon. All right? He's the Edomites are our oppressor. And that's why it says, how hath the oppressor ceased, the golden city ceased? Remember, Trump is calling this the golden age of America. That's not by coincidence, because the Yahweh put the spirit on him to call it this place the golden city, or the golden age, because we're reading about that golden city that's about to cease. And how's it going to cease? It's falling as we speak. Tariffs, the new world order that they're going to implement. Tells you in Job that he's not going to let them perform their enterprise. Okay, Job 5 and 12, it says, he disappointed the devices of the crafty so that their hands cannot perform their enterprise. So there you go. Hey, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai is not going to allow the new world order to be fulfilled to its, with the potential that they want it to live up to. This place is not, the enterprise is not gonna succeed, right? Let me get that word enterprise for you real quick. Enterprise definition. It says,
here's the definition of enterprise.
Oh, she'll read it.
A project or undertaking, typically one that is difficult or requires effort.
So you see that this is enterprise, the new world order, them putting a micro C-hip in your hand, it's going to be difficult to perform because you're going to have a lot of resistance to that. Let me read that just in case you didn't hear what the computer said. It said a project or undertaking, typically one that is difficult or requires effort. And Esau knows this, you see. Another word for enterprise is plan of action. Campaign, exercise. Like they're gonna exercise this thing. They're gonna try and do it. An operation. They're gonna try and put a mission. You see, you get the point. A task. This is all going back to this new world order. But the golden city is gonna cease, so it's not gonna be fulfilled. The enterprise, Yahweh's not gonna allow it to be fulfilled. All right, I should say Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, because Yahushai is going to be shooting lasers at this place from his chariot. Among other things, he might even shoot lasers from his eyes, with spiritual powers. But this is Revelation 18, and let me see, where am I at? 6, I read about how she's going to get, in the cup which she hath filled, fill her to her double. She's going to drink from that cup that we've been drinking from, but this one is going to be even worse. For when Esau, Edom, and Babylon falls, it's going to be worse than the cup we've been drinking. Verse 7, how much she hath glorified herself and lived deliciously, so much torment and sorrow give her, for she saith in her heart, I sit a queen, and am no widow, and shall see no sorrow. And that's the attitude of the Edomites, and a lot of you 2/3 that are in line with the Edomite. You have the same mindset as an Edomite. You might as well be an Edomite for right now, because you're gonna have the same torment. Okay, now listen. You're gonna this is talking about Babylon. She says, "Look, I sit a queen. I'm no widow. I'm not gonna see no sorrow." Well, because she has pride. That's in her DNA. The Edomites are the most prideful people on the planet Earth, and the Most High is gonna bring them down, bring down their pride. Tells you that in Obadiah. Tells you that in Malachi. All right. In verse 8 it says, because of her pride, watch what's going to happen. Therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death and mourning and famine, and she shall be utterly burned with fire. For strong is Yahweh, Bahashim Yahushai, the Most High, who judgeth her. Right. Who's going to judge Babylon, America? Yahweh, Bahashim Yahushai. Her plagues are coming in one day. And really, that's the ultimate plague, because really she's already being plagued. Remember, the prophets are a plague to this place. We're us speaking up on this truth, exposing the devil, exposing the so-called white man. This is a plague to Babylon. We're the first plague on the scene. All right. Then you're gonna have the famines. You're gonna have the, eventually to where you're gonna have chaos, women getting raped on the street, ravished, because there's not gonna be no 911 to call. This place is gonna hit total chaos. And then eventually those missiles are going to be set on fire. All right. And the kings of the earth who have committed fornication and lived deliciously with her shall bewail her and lament for her when they shall see the smoke of her burning. See, so the kings of the earth, meaning all these different presidents, Putin, Ziling, or whatever his name is over there in China, the dude from, let me see. Who is the dictator of North Korea? Kim Jong-un. All right, this dude. Who is the dictator of China?
According to Wikipedia, Xi Jinping, born the 15th of June, 1953, is a Chinese politician who has been the General Secretary of the Chinese Communist Party, CCP, and Chairman of the Central Military Commission, CMC, and thus the paramount leader of China since
Kim
2012.
Jong-un,
Since 2013,
Vladimir
Xi
Putin.
has also...
You get the point. This place, these kings, and they've committed fornication with her because they're doing the same shit. Because remember, these are the heathen, all these heathen countries, all these super powers on the planet Earth. They're all heathen nations. Russians are also Edomites. The fucking Chinese, that's Moab. They're Moabites. North Koreans, they're basically, those are basically those Asian tribes that, those are all like Ammonites, which is Japan. You got all these kings, they all commit fornication, which is spiritual idolatry, right? They have different belief systems. It says they're gonna lament for her when they shall see the smoke of her burning. And just like right now, listen, China, they don't want to be in a tariff situation, a trade war with USA. You know why? Because they make a lot of money doing this. So that's why they're going to be crying. All right. Verse 10, it says, standing afar off for the fear of her torment, saying, alas, alas, the great city Babylon, the mighty city, for in 1 hour is thy judgment come. All right? So it's going to take 1 hour to destroy this place. Because you got to understand, it's the missiles. You're going to have nuclear fire. You're going to have chariots. You're going to have chariot fire. The angels, they're going to burn this place up with the way you call UFOs. Yeah, those things are real. And yes, they are going to be part of the destruction, part of World War III, according to biblical prophecy. All right? But let me see. I'm going to read one more verse and I'm going to close it up. It says, the merchandise... Oh, wait, you know what? Let me read 11. And the merchants of the earth shall weep and mourn over her, for no man buyeth their merchandise anymore. You see? And what's going to happen? Right now, they're already getting to the beginning of this. This is the beginning of sorrows. We're getting close, man. They're already getting close to the micro C hip. Once that prophecy happens, the rest of these prophecies are going to kickstart really quick. I remember listening to a video, Apostle Tahar broke it down. He said, hey, once those micro C hips are mandated, he can't see this place going longer than, he said maybe 1, 2, 3, 4 months, because you got to understand, the elect are not going to take that C hip, and then, we're going to go through some hell for, while we're going through all that, but the Lord's he's not going to just leave us high and dry, you see. We'll have to, some of us will die, you know. But he's not going to forget about the elect, his elect, you know. They're going to get, we're going to go up in the chariot, you know. Lord's will, I'm in that number. When the nuclear fire and we get them new bodies, tells you in 1 Corinthians chapter 15. Let's read this. Verse 12. The merchandise of gold, silver, and precious stones, and of pearls, and of fine linen, and purple, and silk, and scarlet, and all thy fine wood, and all manner vessels of ivory, and all the manner vessels of the most precious wood, and the brass, and the iron, and the marble, and the cinnamon, and the odors, and the ointments, and the frankincense, and the wine and oil and fine flour and wheat and beasts and sheep and horses and chariots and slaves and souls of men. See? Everything. Let me jump to 17 because I need to feed my family. It says, for in 1 hour so great riches is come to naught. And every shipmaster and all the company in ships and sailors and as many as trade by sea stood afar off. Remember, we're in that trade war right now. But eventually, it's going to get hyped up. It's going to get to the point where they're going to send missiles. All right. Right now, the trade war, and then just that right after that, you'll get the micro CHIP put in place. You know. Hey, you could honestly, we can see it, man. We can see how close this thing is, how close the end is. You know, they already have all the digital stuff. They're already getting ready to, the bank systems are going to adopt the digital system. You know, you see what he's doing with the tariffs. This thing is moving really fast, man. If you have a spiritual eye to see it, because once the chip is mandated, then shortly after that, those missiles are going to come, man. But there's also going to be chaos. So this is what you got to look forward to. Once these prophecies start jumping off the page, you're going to have the CHIP real soon. They're already getting everything in order for that. They're laying the groundwork down, you know. And then you're going to have the Jacob's trouble is going to get crazier during that time. Because some people are going to take the CHIP, some people are not going to take the CHIP. So you're going to have chaos, and people are going to be robbing and killing and sedition among men and chaos in the streets, ravishing women, you know. That's when women are going to get humbled. Isaiah 4:1, that prophecy will kick in, which 7 women shall take hold of one man, and only be one called by thy name. You know, let me grab that real quick, because you're going to have women humbled. Right now, women are on their high horse. You even got, oh man, I ain't even going to bring it up. But Isaiah 4:1, it says, and in that day 7 women shall take hold of one man, saying, we will eat our own bread and wear our own apparel, only let us be called by thy name to take away our reproach. You see? So that's what it is, you know? These women are going to get humbled. Well, how would this prophecy come to pass unless these women got humbled? Unless they went through a chaotic state. You ain't going to have no 7 women in this society trying to get down with you. You know, trying to be down, trying to be your wives. Why? Because it's going to take that chaos. It's going to take that humbling. It's going to take that pain. They're going to have to feel that pain before they get humbled. Then they're going to be happy to be down with, you know, you and multiple other women. If you're one of the prophets, if you're one of the elect. All right. So let's get back to, but actually, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and close it out. I believe the point's been made. But you know what though? This thing is picking up, you know, the whole state of the world. You know, let me grab this. Matthew 24 real quick. Let's start at 6. This is Matthew 24:6. It says, and ye shall hear war of wars and rumors of wars. See that you be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. So right now, are we not? This is the stage we're in. We're hearing the rumors about wars. All right? The rumors is going to eventually turn into a rumor of war. Basically, another name for that is a Cold War. You know, we're in a Cold War right now. A second Cold War. Because a Cold War means everything is in place, but the war just hadn't kicked off, like where missiles are being shot at each other. But, you know, when it becomes a real war, a hot war, if you want to call it, which literally and figuratively, it's going to be hot because those missiles are hot as hell, right? So it's going to say here in verse 9 or 7, for nation shall rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places. There's earthquakes every single day, right? And in diverse places. The famines are going to come, like I told you, when those people are you're going to have certain people that'll take the micro-CHIP. You're going to have certain people that are not going to take the micro-CHIP. Pestilence, disease is going to come of all this. Because you got to understand, they're going to turn the grid off. You're not going to have your luxuries that you have right now. You know, in Isaiah 32, it tells you the vintage shall pass, meaning the old ways shall be a thing of the past. You may not even have running, not you may, but eventually there's going to be a time where nobody has running water. You know? You think about that for a second. Let's say you get your water turned off or something, or you got to turn it off because you got to do something at the house, at the crib. You can't take a shower for one morning or 2 mornings. Man, that shit hurts right there. More or less, you don't have no water at all. So you're gonna have diseases, dirty ass people that are, you know, if they get sick or infected with different type of whatever, you know what I'm saying, they're not going to have no ability to get to a hospital and get you know, medicines to cure them. So it's going to be just a all out chaos. That's why they make all those zombie movies, because it's called predictive programming, because they know eventually this shit's going to go to hell. And I'm talking about Babylon, America. Verse 8, all these are the beginning of sorrows. You see that? So, let's read 10. Well, because verse 9 is dealing with the prophets. It says, and they shall deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you, and ye shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. Right? So they already hate us because we're speaking the truth. All right? And that's okay. We're in good company. They hated Yahushua. Verse 10, and then shall many be offended, and shall betray one another, and shall hate one another. All right? And you got all that happening. All right, and many false prophets shall rise and shall deceive many. You're going to have all these people coming out the woodwork trying to be spiritual. They already have it, right? You already have a ton of false prophets. You have more false prophets.
And many false prophets shall rise and shall deceive many.
The hell? See, that's the demon. But you already got the false prophets.
And many false prophets shall.
Look at that. I don't know. I'm going to have to close out because it's acting up. But you get the point. I think the point's been made. This place is on its last leg. And hey, you could believe this or not. It don't matter if you do or not. These prophecies are going to be jumping off the page before you know it. And if you're not in the fold of Yahweh Bashem Yoshai, hey, you're going to get fucked up. All right. So with that, I want to give all the praise, all the glory, all the honor unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakah Kudash. Double honors goes out to the elder apostles of Great Millstone for teaching me the truth. Also want to acknowledge Al-Akyam, who are pushing the truth with sincerity throughout the 4 corners of the earth. Shalom to the elect.